Hey there, and welcome to today's lesson. Today we are going to be diving into what is called primary foods. Now, oftentimes when people hear food, they think about the food that they eat. And in this lesson, you are going to be looking at the reasons why we choose the food that we eat and some of the things that are going on in our life, which is why we may be overeating, undereating, and different things like that. So when you guys are going through your lessons and you're still concentrating on your mindset and your beliefs, for me as a health coach, what I have found is that most people, when they get into this lesson and they start to understand what primary foods really are, it brings a lot of those moments where we go, oh, okay, that could really be the reasoning behind why we maybe are choosing certain foods, or why we might be even going to food when we're not necessarily really hungry for food, but we're hungry for something else. So this kind of goes into a lot of this program and why you're here, to really start to have a better awareness, right? So in your lessons, we always are talking about awareness. I want you to have awareness as something that is continually with you for the rest of your life, and really having a mindful approach. So one of your future lessons will be talking on your mindful approach as well, around everything that you're doing, especially the foods that we're eating and our beliefs as well. So when we get into primary foods, make sure that you guys are downloading your documents, because you will have one that is exactly on this lesson, which is your primary foods, just like your lesson on declaring your intentions. And remember, some of these videos, you'll notice always the ones that are a little bit older because my hair is shorter or longer, right? Depending on when it was recorded. So I want you to think about primary foods and look at your paper and kind of just think about if there's a particular area where you may be a little bit more filled, and then another area where you may be feeling like you're lacking a little bit, okay? So our primary foods are our career, our relationships, our physical activity or exercise, and then also our spirituality. So when you're looking at your document, I want you to think about the more that we give ourselves our primary foods, we are going to be less dependent on our secondary foods. And your secondary foods are the foods you actually are eating. Your primary foods are surrounding your life in regards to how you're feeling with your work, job, career, business, how you are doing with your relationships, how you're doing with your activity, physical levels of exertion, walking, exercise, any word we want to put to that, and then your spirituality. And this can go into wherever somebody's beliefs are. If we're lacking in any of those areas, think about it this way. So if somebody is very fulfilled with their business, very fulfilled with their work and their job, and they really love what they do, oftentimes it can still be stressful. And I say that all the time because I love what I do, but it doesn't mean that there's not stress around it. There certainly is. Projects that I put on myself, putting programs like this together, it's a lot of work, it's time consuming, but it's something that I enjoy doing. But it also can be a little bit stressful, right? When you're looking at things that you're trying to accomplish and you're giving yourself deadlines and all of that stuff. So often when we are thinking about, let's say now, if we're doing something that we don't really love that much, maybe it's very highly stressful in a negative way where it's not very fulfilling to you, but you're just kind of feeling like you're trading your hours for money, and it's not a very good place for you. Maybe it's filled with negativity and stress. And I talk to people about this all the time. Well, you're probably that much more likely when you're feeling that stress, when you're coming home, to just open the fridge, look for something to eat, we are also that much more likely to go to alcohol and different things like that. And we start to create habits that are not necessarily healthy habits, but can be those negative habits just to kind of fill ourselves because of the stress and the negativity around that. The same thing can happen with your relationships. And when you have an argument, when you have a stressful situation, maybe you're not as happy, you're dealing with manipulation, whatever it might be that you're going through. Also, times in relationships, it could be very draining or exhausting. Even if it's a good relationship, maybe you're pouring so much into it and then you're having little feelings of neglect. Many people deal with that, and oftentimes if there's a disturbance with the relationship or something happens, we can come home again, want to have that drink, want to go to food, want to be snacking. And other times with our relationships, it could be a fun time, right? We're out, we're enjoying. We could be spending time with family and friends. And I hear this all the time as well. It's always surrounded around enjoying ourselves with food and alcohol. And this is where a lot of times people feel like, oh, I have to deprive myself. I can't enjoy. I can't do that, because they're stuck in that diet cycle mentality of their belief system of thinking, in order for me to lose weight, in order for me to reach my goals, I can't really participate in things like that. And I'm here to tell you that depending on what you're going on with your immune system, that doesn't necessarily need to be true. I know for myself, there's times where I did have to eliminate more things because it was part of my healing journey. And I looked at being around family at that time with different things that were going, holidays, for example, of nope, you know what? I can have this instead. And I kept my mindset on really looking at all of the choices that I did have versus feeling like it was things that I couldn't have. Now I'm in a much better place, and I'm able to teach you guys the differences between those two things depending on where you are at as an individual, which is what I'm doing as your coach, to help you to weave through those situations so that way you can still enjoy and you can still get together with people. And it really comes down to that belief around it, right? So if we're thinking that we can't have that drink, well, how much of the drink would you like to have? Can we fit it into your plan? Most likely you can, and that's what's nice about that. What happens though is we have to have that awareness. So remember, the awareness needs to come in mindfully around our choices, because if it does start to hold us back or gets to the point where it becomes too much of a habit, and now we're taking the healthy things, the healthier things out, now we're kind of repeating the same old cycle again, which really didn't get us results and is not allowing us to accomplish what we want to accomplish for the rest of our life, which is really what this program is about and why you're here. So that being said, think about where we're at with those choices and kind of the belief we have already in regards to that primary food situation with our relationships, and what is that doing in regards to why we may be choosing food or alcohol at that time, which is the secondary food. The third thing is your physical activity. Physical activity or exercise, working out, can either be too much or too little. Now, if you remember from many different things that we've been talking about, and as you continue learning a little bit more about this, we want to think about it as, okay, I want to work my body based off of what my goals are, but also where I'm at with my metabolism, my hormones, and my immune system. So knowing that, some of you may be working out more, some of you may be working out less, and there's a method behind that for what we're trying to do, especially if you're rehabbing your metabolism because it's been overused for so long, and now we are trying to retrain it and get it to function better for you. But if we are over exercising, that a lot of times can lead to hunger. So if that hunger is not really in check, our hormones are not in check, the metabolism is not in check, we are starting to have more cravings, and we're looking for more food in regards to secondary food choices that we're going to be eating. So think about that. Working out harder makes us more hungry, and then what are we doing about it? The same thing can happen into, let's say, like being a couch potato, right? If we're not getting in enough exercise or even just a little bit of exercise, what's happening is that's an extreme thing as well. So extreme for the metabolism would be, laziness, couch potato, not really movement, and extreme would be overtraining, over exercising. So those are two extremes. So we're trying to teach our metabolism to be flexible for the rest of our life. So what's important here is that we are getting you the right physical activity in, so that way, what goes along with couch potato? Usually more eating. We're sitting and watching TV, we're consuming more food and drinks at that time, and often because we're not mindful about it, we're not aware of it, we just keep having that habit happen, because that's often what happens. We're reading, we're eating. We're watching TV, we're eating. So when we take this mindful approach into what our primary foods are, it really helps us to determine where and when am I eating throughout the day, and how is this serving my body the best way possible? So it's breaking some of our beliefs and habits around what we've always done that has been doing what? Not working for us. So when we can start to replace those food choices with, you guys, I never really like to say like healthy or bad or good foods, but we do know there's healthier choices, right? So when we're thinking about that in regards to having control over those secondary foods and having control over what we're doing with awareness around our primary foods, it's going to help us to look at it with awareness, a better perspective, and understand that, okay, just because I'm feeling maybe anxiety, a little bit upset about something, food usually is something that people go to. Alcohol is something that people go to for that instant feel better response, right? And I work with clients, I work with you guys on this, and it's important to understand, like, that's not going to make you feel better long term. That's going to keep you in that repeated cycle. So it's about breaking that and replacing it, so that we're going to healthier choices. We're stopping ourselves. We're telling ourselves, wait a second, what is the thought that I just had? I'm upset about this that just happened at work today, and I'm going to the refrigerator. Why? Am I really hungry? Question that. Okay, I already had my first meal, my second meal, and now I'm going to prepare what I'm having for my third meal, and I don't need to fill myself with anything right now while I'm doing that. I can have control of this, because you're thinking about the positive outcome or the better outcome that you're looking for in order for you to accomplish your goals that you have, and then have that be your nice, new, long, life lasting outcome. And it's retraining yourself, retraining those beliefs, so that way you have control of that, because you only can control so much. So it's being really in tune to that. The last thing is the spirituality. Now, I'm not here to tell anybody what they need to believe. That is completely up to you. But I do know for me, with being raised and having my faith has made a huge difference in my life. And I do have some clients that find their spirituality by being outside, feeling connected with the earth, going for walks, just kind of looking at the beauty that I believe God created. So for me, my spirituality, my connection is something that I'm looking at, number one, being grateful every single day and thankful, and not allowing, when I have, remember we talked about that with the mindset and beliefs, the deceptive mind, the deceptive brain messages that may be coming at us, trying to take over and kind of keeping us down here. It's taking that moment every single night before I go to bed to write down in my journal what I'm grateful for that day. And I literally put the date, the day, and I write, I'm thankful for, and then I put my list down. And a lot of times it repeats with many of the same things. And what I have found is the first things I'm thankful for are often my faith and my relationships, because I base my relationships with my faith. So I look at that as I list that, and often that can be my boys, my family, meaning like my parents, my main squeeze relationship, different things like that. My clients always go on there, my new potential clients, who I'm attracting, what I'm doing every day, abundance. Sometimes I put coffee, sometimes I put water, sometimes I put my migraine broke, whatever it might be. So having that grateful part of you and being able to speak that and express that is important. And then when we wake up, it's also important to be like, thank you for this new day. And then when you guys did your intention exercise, that can go into like waking up and being like, what is my intention? What is my intention for today? And I am thankful for a new day, and my intention is this. So often it can be, my intention is to drink all my water today, focus on being mindful around my eating, being aware of my actions, being aware of what I can control, taking action, and just letting that play out all day with being very mindful. And that can just be your intention. You may have something else that is coming up and you want to put an intention around that, like being prepared for it. What amount of work do you need to do to get done each day to help you to be able to accomplish that and feel like you are starting to now get a little bit of steps taken, especially with this program, right? Okay, what is my intention today? I'm going to go into the lessons today. I'm going to watch my videos. I'm going to schedule my activity. I'm going to schedule, little parts like that. So that way you're being really aware around your schedule. And I do this with my set schedule planner. I block out my times when I'm doing my workout, when I'm taking a break to eat, when I'm working with a client, when I'm working on my project, whatever it might be. Because if I don't do that, then my brain is like, whoa, 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 let's do this, let's do that. So I keep my intention focused that way. And I really look at it from this primary food standpoint. When you can have awareness around what's going on in our life, what's going on with our relationships and our job and our exercise and our spirituality, that's keeping me grounded, that's keeping me very connected and helping me to have that awareness around all of my choices, okay? So for your homework with this lesson is pretty much just reviewing the primary food list along with this video and thinking about it in regards to what may be going on in your life that could use a little bit more attention. And you're here in this program for that reason, in regards to your health and wanting to lose weight, wanting to feel better, increase your energy and your confidence. So increasing your confidence, this is part of that, because you're really examining things. You're having that awareness around what's going on in my life and where are the things that I want to possibly improve. We could use the word change, but often the brain gets a little scared from change, but you have to be real with yourself. You want to be honest about where are those little areas that I can improve and possibly change for the better. What is that better outcome that I'm really looking for so I can have that for the rest of my life, okay? So think about it that way, and then also think about the areas that you feel are going really well and that you're feeling you have positive outcomes from already. And then how much more awareness do you need into those to kind of help teach your brain that you can have those good outcomes in the other areas that maybe you're struggling with a little bit right now. And the more we grab onto this, the better we're going to do with taking that, take a hold of it, have the awareness around it, and start to implement these steps throughout the program in order to get you to where you want to be. Okay? All right, so that is that. And then what you can do is always check in the Facebook group when you finish a lesson and share what maybe your aha was and something that maybe really made a difference for you. You do not always have to share everything, but even if it's just a couple of things to let us know that you finished the lesson and what you got out of it before you move on to the next one. All right, have a great day.